Hello, we are live. Hi, Terry, Sheesway, Gail. Hello. Yes, there is class today. Sorry. I have to get my whole space set up. So this is where I do my podcast interviews. This is where I work with private clients when I run functional labs, where I teach my courses. So everything takes place over here. So I have to clear it all before I start teaching yoga, which is good exercise. All right. So, how are you that's here? Who's here? Who has any questions or comments or anything to ask? Today, I titled this class Fall Prevention. I wanted to speak about a program, my signature program that I'm launching. So, I have a program called Healthy Gut, Healthy Bones. And Terry, you have taken that course before. This course now has become so much more robust. I started this program in 2022. And so it just builds and expands depending on the latest research, on who is in the course and what they've learned and what they need and what I needed to create beyond whatever I have done up until now. So if you go to my website, debbierobinson.com, you will see a link to learn more information and hopefully you will join us. It's the way that I'm showing up live now. So I'm going to show up live a few times a month. And let me just say what that entails. So my goal now is to show up live for women with osteoporosis and to be in this community. We all want stronger bones. We want better balance. We're all doing that. We're all on this journey to be as healthy as we can be as we age. So I have a few ways that you could join me monthly so we stay in community and stay in that goal. And the Healthy Gut, Healthy Bones program, 4-month program, 2 lives a month or every other week we meet. And there's course materials and videos and resources to help you on this journey because stronger bones is a lifestyle. It is not a pill. It is not a supplement. It is not just this thing or this thing. Having a healthy gut is a key to having healthy bones. So it's a lifestyle of habit stacking, and we do this together over a 4-month period. So look for more information if you want to go deeper and to look at root causes and to start to get to the why behind bone loss from a metabolic or a biochemical aspect. All right. This class will focus on fall prevention. So we're going to target specific areas of the body or raise your awareness to what you need to pay attention to for fall prevention. It's not just about having stronger balance. There's many factors that play a role here. You have to have limber joints, strong joints, flexible tissues, hydrated tissues, and we need to have strong muscles, strong bones. And studies show that lower leg strength, the stronger your lower body is, the healthier you'll age, and the less risk you have for fracture. So actually studies show that stronger lower body will actually contribute to less risk of fracture and of falling, which leads to fracture. So this practice today will focus on fall prevention and a few of the aspects of what we need to focus on for fall prevention. We will be using a chair and when we stand up because we're going to challenge our joints, challenge our balance, and having a chair there may make it safe, or practicing near a wall is another really good option. If you don't have access to a wall right now, I recommend that at some time you do make your yoga therapy for osteoporosis practice near a wall so you can actually utilize the wall for some of the benefits that can give you. So having a chair, a block, a strap, and a blanket is what you'll need for this practice. And since we have the chair here, legs up the chair is a really nice way to settle the pelvis, to settle the hips, and it's a good way to start the practice. I will use the blanket underneath my pelvis. You can also use the blanket underneath your head. So there's a few options for you there. Putting your other props off to the side. Now, the thing about the chair, in order to get the maximum benefit, is you want your entire lower leg bones to be supported. So this is a pretty short chair with not very much space for my feet at the back. So in this case, I'm going to turn this chair to the side so that my legs have this whole surface. You could put a blanket on here if you wanted a little bit of softness. I'm going to use it underneath my tushy to elevate my tushy because I think this is a pretty high chair, and I think that'll feel a little bit more comfortable. So coming down onto the ground and bringing your legs up into the chair, make sure that your entire lower leg bones are supported. That will give you the maximum relief of the femur bones sinking really nice and deep into the hip joint. So find this in your body. And then a few things you could do. You could put the blanket underneath your head, or you could actually do even a higher elevation of the pelvis and put the blanket underneath your pelvis. And then if you do that, try that. So I just put that under there. I actually feel like I don't need it under my pelvis. It actually took me a little higher than I would like. So I'm actually going to take this out and not even use a blanket, because that is another option as well. So if you don't have a chair, you could use an ottoman, or you could use a sofa, ottoman, right? On the little cubes, or a sofa. You could put your legs at the back of a sofa or chair. The goal here is to have the elevation of the legs to allow them to sink nice and deep into your sockets. That then is going to give you this relaxation in your pelvis, frees up tension in the low back, just starts to soften and release some of that chronic holding pattern we have in our pelvis. Lifting your head, lengthening your neck, and then the arms. Let's add in a little chest stretching here, a little shoulder joint stretch. So take your arms out to the side, either straight out to the side or bent elbows. Higher you raise your arms towards the back of the room, more stretching will occur in your chest and shoulders. So see what feels appropriate for you. And then noticing if there is any tension in the upper back and neck. And let's work on releasing that. So lift your head, lengthen the back of your neck. Take an inhale. As you exhale, slowly let your head roll in one direction. Inhale back up to center. Exhale in the other direction. And inhale back up to center. Exhale into the stretch. Inhale back to neutral. And then bring yourself through your last movement back to center. So keep your mouth closed. Let your back teeth be separated, so nice, gently allow the lips to touch. And start to follow the breath in your nose. Follow the breath into your torso. Feel where it goes. And then begin to breathe down to your lower ribs. We're going to use our breath to help relax the hips, the pelvis, the low back. So breathe down to the lower ribs. Feel the lower ribs expand up, out, and back. Go slow and go as deep as you can. You're going to shift your joints when you do this. You're going to get some movement come into your spine, movement in the ribs. Once you feel that you're moving your ribs, the lower ribs up to the sides and back, Start to then bring it down into your belly. Breathing deep. And then breathe lower to the pelvic floor, to the base of your pelvis, to where your legs attach. So you could breathe down to your hips. See if you could feel breathing back to the tailbone. When you breathe back to the tailbone, you'll feel the release in the low back. You may feel a softening of the rest of the muscles of the legs that attach to the pelvis. Then I want you to bring your awareness to your left leg. The top of the leg is the hip bone in your pelvis. Breathe to your hip joint, your left hip joint. And then breathe to your right hip joint. And then breathing to your tailbone, last few breaths. And then give the breath back to your body to breathe itself. Start to bring movement into your body. In any way you'd like to move your body. Start to move bigger, starting small and moving more. Then bringing the knees one at a time into your chest, rocking side to side. And then rock all the way over onto your side. Take your hand on the ground. Keep your head in the same level as your rib cage when you push yourself up. So we're going to get our space ready for some movement. So move your chair off to the side. So you can move the other props off to the side. You're going to take your blanket. We're going to begin on our knees, hands and knees. So coming onto all fours, this is going to settle your spine. Take your hands pretty wide, your legs pretty wide. Push your body side to side, starting to stretch the muscles that attach the legs to the body, starting to stretch the inner thighs, the outer hip joint. Keep your head lifted, don't let your head hang. And then bring yourself back to center. Push yourself forward, feel that in your wrists. Push yourself back, feel that in your glutes. Forward and back. Moving around in our hips and in our shoulders, getting some secretion of fluids. Bringing yourself forward. Let's go to the right, go to the back, go to the left, go front. Go right, go back, go left, and front. Keep your head lifted. You're making a circle here. Keep your arms straight. Press your fingers into the ground. So the goal here is to lubricate the joints, because the more active and aware your joints are, when we start to move in our practice, you'll keep yourself safe. And it's also a way to keep your body more communicative for fall prevention. Let's switch in the other direction. Moving in a circle, noticing what you notice along your way. So feeling your body where you feel the stretching happening. And then bring yourself back to center. Take your hands on the floor. Now, if you can stay with your hands pointing forward, that's ideal. But if you need to do something different for your wrists, go ahead. Now imagine you have a tail off of your body. I want you to move the tail down, move the tail up. Keep your head lifted. Tail goes down, tail goes up. You're starting to tilt your pelvis. You're starting to use core muscles and low back muscles. Moving the lower lumbar spine, bringing fluidity into that. Moving the pelvis, moving around in the hip joint. Down and up with your pelvis. Down and up. And then bring yourself back to center. Let's take the hands wide and forward, wide and forward. Then you're going to bring your body forward, bring your body back. Keep your head lifted here. Keep your arms straight. Your pelvis goes forward. Your head starts looking up the wall across the room from you. And you keep your tushy high in the air. Your spine stays straight. We're bending our hip joint, not the spine. Practicing safe bending in the body. Stretching the muscles that need to be limber for you to properly fold forward. Not in your spine, but rather in the hip joint. So you're going to start to feel a stretch coming into the back of the body and into the front of the body. So start to go bigger with the range of motion. Back, forehead to the ground. Forward, pelvis goes towards the ground. Moving here, you inhale when you come forward. You exhale when you go back. Go slow, go with breath. One more forward. And one more back. Bringing yourself all the way up and all the way out. Let's take a break off of your wrists. Flip your feet under so that you're stretching your toes. See if you can get your ankles to touch. Really bend the toes under as much as you can. This is not for everyone, so try to do your best. You're trying to bring as much space into the joints as possible. Bending your toes, sitting back, pressing your legs together. And then we're going to do a little sequence to warm the upper body up. So if you're able to, this would be one position to try. If you can get your block, put your block between your ankles and sit on your block like this. If that doesn't exist for you, you could put a pillow or a bolster underneath your knees, or if your knees don't bend, and if you've had a knee replacement, they're not designed to bend, so don't force the issue. When you bend your knees, if you feel anything uncomfortable over the knee joint, you don't want to do that. That's the tendons of the muscles that flex the knee. So either sit in a crisscross position, you can elevate yourself in a bolster or pillow. Find a way for you to bring this upper body movement into your body. So take your hands to the side. You're going to inhale, exhale, bring your hands to your shoulders. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Bring your hands on top of your shoulders. You're going to inhale up and down. Keep your arms pushing back as if you were up against a wall and your arms were moving up and down against that wall. Up and down. Now we're going to turn this into more movements. Bring your elbows down, bring your elbows forward, bring your elbows up, your chin up, and then reach out to the side, back and down, chin to your chest. Up, out, back and down. One more. And bring yourself back to center. Let's do a little side bending, up and over, up and over. So really reach here through the heel of your hand, stretching the side body. If you have shoulder joint issues, put your hand in your shoulder and lead with your elbow. Really getting the stretch on the side of the body is what we're going for. It helps when we do twists, when we do back bends, and it helps with that communication that is necessary for fall prevention, for good balance in our body. Reach up, reach up. One more. And bring yourself back to center. A little rotation in our body. Let's start with the head, looking up and over and back to center. It's the inhale that takes you up and over and back to center. Bring yourself back. Let's add a little bit more here. Elbow goes back. Your opposite hand can slide down the opposite leg. The elbow is high, your body twists. We're twisting here. Keeping your elbow high keeps the shoulder blade in the back, so we get that thoracic or middle spine rotation we're going for. Inhale into the stretch, exhale out. Go slow. One more. In each direction. And then bring yourself back to center. Let's come up and do a little bit of stretching for the legs. When we're doing stretching like this, we're actually weight bearing. So it's more intense when you stretch when you're in a kneeling position. So take your block forward, take your foot forward, walk your foot over to the side, make sure your ankle is forward of your knee. With this movement, it's the whole body that goes forward. This is not my torso going forward. So you want to take your whole body forward and then come out. We're stretching the hip flexor on the back leg. We're activating and warming up that front leg, the glutes, the posterior chain, the hamstring. Really critical muscles for fall prevention, the back of your body. Let's inhale to come forward. Exhale back. If you'd like to add on a little balance challenge here, you could inhale with the arm in the air. This is the arm of the leg that's back. And then exhale back to center. Inhale. And then one more. You're going to come forward. Arm can stay in the air. You can keep your hand here, or you could bring both hands up. Couple of breaths here. Introducing balance into your body. Really push that front heel into the floor to secure your body. One more breath. And then bring yourself up. Let's warm up our hamstrings. And we're going to be challenging ourselves with balance. So you might need the block for this. So take your block on the ground. You can bring yourself forward and then straighten that front leg. Make sure you do not round your spine. The bend is happening here in the hip joint. The toe comes towards you. The stretch goes to the hamstring, the back of the body, by bringing the body closer without bending the spine, bending the hip. And then one more. This is going to get our legs ready when we do a posture that pulls on the pelvis to strengthen the pelvic bone for fracture prevention if we fall. You're bending your hip joint, your throat is open, your front chest is nice and lengthened. You are not rounded. Take one more breath and then bring yourself out. Let's go to the other side. Take your foot forward. The more forward the foot is, the more challenge it is for you for balance, and the deeper you'll go for stretching. So a more advanced movement is to move that foot forward, and only do that if it's available to you in your body. Let's inhale to come forward, exhale back. If you wanted to let the hand be a part of this, you inhale to come up and you exhale down. One more. You're going to come forward. If you'd like, you can bring both hands up. Push that front heel into the floor for balance. Feel that stretch in the back leg. Bend your spine, lift your heart. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself up. You'll notice that there's wobbling, that the feet are figuring out where you are in space. So you're definitely in the play zone of joint recognition, of body awareness in space. Bringing yourself back, draw the toes up towards you, bending the hip, and then come forward and come back. And on this next one, you're going to come back and stay back. Stay back here, push that heel into the floor, pull the toes up. You're balancing on that standing hip joint. Take one more breath, and then bring yourself out. Take your block off to the side, bring yourself up, roll out your wrists. So let's do plank, because plank is a great front hip strengthening posture, and it's also a great posture for a lot of strength in the body. So take your hands, let's stretch the heels first, bend the toes, put one hand back or one foot back, and really push through the heel. And then do the same thing on the other side. And then let's come into plank. So if you can come into the full plank, come into the full plank. And if full plank is not available to you, have your knees and your shins on the ground. Spread your fingers, really push your fingers into the floor. Push your body weight back so that the feet are taking a lot of the weight as well. So you could really activate the front hip, lower body, leg muscles. Keep your head lifted, don't let it hang. Push your fingertips into the floor, your hands. Push all the toes. Make sure the pinky toes are touching as well. You're really pushing through those heels. And then trying to activate the core. Push the feet into the floor. Feel like you're dragging them up towards your hands. Or if your knees are on the ground, drag your knees up towards your hands. Deep breaths, keep your mouth closed. The breath is energy. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself down. Come into a position where you can rest, close your eyes, catch your breath. And open your eyes. Come down onto the ground and do some movements down onto the ground. You're going to need your strap handy here and or your block. So come here, let's go down with awareness. Activate your core, tilt your pelvis back, try to roll through. So you're not going to round your spine. With osteoporosis, you want to maintain a safe spinal space. We do not want to collapse here. We want to control ourselves, keeping that length in our spine as we go down with the core muscles to really protect the spine. When you get down, the blanket goes underneath your head, not underneath your upper back. So make sure that that's happening. Then take your legs wide, heels are on the mat, toes are off, arms are to the side. Start to come into a windshield wiper, hip movement here. Side to side with your legs. This moves the pelvis, moves the hips, stretching the low back muscles, the core muscles, side to side. And then you're going to bring yourself back to center. Let's take the feet in. Let's go ahead and grab the strap. Bringing the right foot in the strap. Take the left leg long, or you can keep the knee bent, it's up to you. And I want you to have the strap in the arch. Walk your arms up the strap so your arms are straight. So don't hold down here. It's harder to maintain the leg when you're down here. You want your arms to be straight and walk up the strap. If you need to wrap your hands around to help you hold, you could try that. Walking your hands up the strap. And then let's stretch our ankle joint. That's an important joint for fall prevention. So imagine your foot is like a flashlight, and you're going to pull on the strap on the arch and tilt your foot in the other direction. Your leg doesn't move, your kneecap doesn't move at all. The only thing that tilts is your foot. Come back to center. You tilt your foot to the side. This is ankle joint. Feel the stretch in your ankle joint when you do this. You may experience a sensation all the way down to your pelvis because all of these muscles are connected. We need limber ankles in case we're on uneven pavement or we do slip, trip, and fall. And then bring yourself back to center. Take a break with your hands if you need, and then re-grasp the strap. Let's come into pulling on the pelvis. So pull the leg down into the socket, push the knee away, push that leg away, and let's enter the posture by pulling the leg towards the wall behind you. Keep your pelvis in a neutral. Keep your low back away from the floor. So feel most of the pressure here in the sacrum, the middle of your pelvis, the base of your spine. Push your knee away, pull your leg back. Pull down, push your leg away, and pull back. Feel that deep stretch. Knee needs to be straight here because we want to pull on the pelvis. We want to pull on the tendons. Keep your knee straight, push it away, pull the leg back. Take one more breath. and then release. Let's bring the left leg up into the strap. Straighten the right leg or leave that knee bent, whatever feels best for you. And then we're gonna do the ankle joint stretch. So put the strap on the arch part of the foot, walk your hands up the strap so you have a nice firm hold. And then you're gonna pull on the strap in the arch part of your foot so your foot tilts to the opposite direction. Feel that stretch in the ankle, and then bring yourself back to center. The knee doesn't move, the leg doesn't move. And bring yourself back to center. Little break with your hand if you need it, and go ahead and re-grasp. Push the knee away, pull the leg back towards the wall behind you. If you push the opposite foot into the ground, you might get a little bit more access in this leg. You want it to be strong sensation. Push the leg away and pull back with a lot of force. So try to get opposing forces in your leg. Push away, pull back. Very active. Push away, pull back. Take one more breath. Push away, pull back, strong, strong, strong. And then go ahead and release. Take the strap off. Bring both knees into your chest. Rock side to side. Put your feet in the air. So this is going to be core work, holding your legs in the air. It's a challenge. It's work for the core and the hip flexors. If you have your legs directly above your pelvis, it's a little bit more work. If that's too intense, you could bend your knees. So you want to do what's right for you. Point and flex. Point and flex. Keep your feet about a foot apart and do circles. Look at your ankles, look at your feet. Ligaments, tendons, muscles, the nerves, all the communication. This is what we balance on, or these feet go in the other direction. So look at those feet, the size of those feet in relationship to your body. They need to be active, to be open, to be able to communicate on where you are in space. So we need to have strong, limber, active feet for fall prevention. Let's widen our legs and draw the knees towards the armpits, soles of the feet are up towards the sky, rock side to side. You also need really limber body, and you need flexible joints and strong joints for all that communication for fall prevention. You have to make sure we have a lot of play and mobility in our body when it comes to fall and fracture prevention. Bring your feet down. So we'll come into the bridge posture, and bridge is going to strengthen the posterior chain, which is really a critical aspect of fall prevention, the posterior and back of your body. So take your strap about this distance. Don't open it too much. It should be open about this distance. Bringing your feet through the strap and bring your strap up to the top of your thighs. You want the space between your legs to be about fist distance. And adjust your strap. Now, strap is one thing. The other thing is, for some of you, you could do a block. So you could put a block between your legs and bring yourself up. That's another option. So choose what you prefer. It could be the block or the strap. Take the blanket away from the back of the head. Let's arrange our body. So push your arms into the ground, lift your rib cage up, slide your shoulder blades towards the spine, lift your head, lengthen your head. Leave your arms in this position. Walk your feet closer. Then you're going to push your feet into the floor, push out in the strap, tilt your pelvis back, and then rock it forward. Do a couple of those movements. Tilt your pelvis back, rock it forward, tilt your pelvis back, and rock it forward. Let's tilt the pelvis back, push the arms down, push your feet into the floor, squeeze your tushy, push your buttocks up, lift your rib cage off, and then push your arms to bend your spine as much as you can. The goal here is to push away from the floor with the arms a lot, with the feet a lot, to push into the strap and to bend your spine as much as possible. Bridge. Really push the arms into the floor, bend your spine. Press your arms in. Shoulder blades press forward to bend your spine. Push your hips up. Try to unbend your hips. Push out of the strap. Push the feet into the floor. Finish the breath you're on. Take one more breath. When you come down slowly. Lift your heels off the floor. Tilt your pelvis back. Try to pull your pelvis away from your rib cage as much as you can to try to flatten the low back. Feel that stretch in the lower spine, stretch in the low back. When you come all the way down, you bring the blanket back under your head. Bring your knees in, take the strap off or take the block out. Rocking side to side. And come onto your side. Take your hand on the ground, paying attention to your head. Keep your head in alignment with your rib cage. So you really use the muscles to push away from the floor at every opportunity we can get to work on strength. So move your props out of the way. So where most of us don't focus our attention, or where weakness really comes into most bodies, is the back of the body and the sides of the body. We have more muscles in the front. We're doing more in the front. We're forward more often. And when you start pulling yourself up off of a chair or a sofa or up the stairs or off the toilet, wherever there's a pulling action, we're using those muscles here in the front of our body. We don't use the pushing muscles, those back muscles, as often as we need to. We just pushed away from the floor with the bridge pose to get that nice strength in the back. So we're going to do side plank, which is a pretty challenging posture. I like to do it at the wall. It makes it easier for me to do. It's the hardest posture that I do. And so I want to show you a modification. If you cannot come into, this is Vasisthasana side plank. So this is what side plank is. And if you're not able to do that variation, you could come into a variation that will work. It's called half moon. It's a modification of a posture called half moon. You're working the side body here and you're getting on your side hip joint on that down leg. So you could choose to do that. If you are going to do Vasisthasana at the wall, make sure you're close to the wall, and you can even start with your body close, almost touching the wall, or you use the hand. So instead, you could use either your pelvis to touch the wall, or you can use the hand. So let's come into a plank with your legs together, and then lift your pelvis, rolling onto the pinky toe edge of one side, whatever side you're choosing to go to. When you're here, really push into the feet and bring that length up your body so you have a nice long torso. If you're near the wall, you can use the wall with your hands, use it with your pelvis. Press your fingers into the floor, long spine. Really push the foot to help you, because you need the lower body to help here. The pelvis is a heavy structure, and we really need pressing our feet into the floor to help. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself out and down. Not a posture I hold too long, because I find this one to be quite a challenge. Let's come to the other side. So you could just turn to the side, whatever variation you're going to choose on this side. Let's prepare. Take the feet back into the plank, lift your body and roll on to the pinky toe edges. Push into your pinky toe edges. And when you do that, you'll lift the pelvis up and you can bring length into your spine. Hand goes up, and then push your fingertips in, push your hand in. Use your breath here. The breath gives us energy. Push the pinky toe edge into the floor to really get that support. Take one more breath. And then you come out. Close your eyes, take a break, catch your breath. When the heart rate is accelerated, that means we used more muscles, more demand internally. So that gives you an indication of the strength of the posture you're doing. Take one more breath. And then open your eyes. So we're going to come to a standing position. If you are near a wall, you could use the wall to help you. And try to go slow because healthy joints is really important for healthy aging. So try to go slow when you rise, using the wall if you need or not, pushing away and coming into the joints and then loading out of them safely. Clearing your space, go ahead and get your chair. So get your chair. Feet are critical to fall prevention. So let's pay attention to our feet. And I want you to try to do your best with this. Notice where you need improvement. Where do you have limitations in range of motion? Because your feet are what is going to help send the signals in your body for fall prevention, turning on the muscles you need so you don't fall. So take your toes and bend the toes, lifting the heel up. See if you can get into this perpendicular to the toes with your foot up. So you lift the toes up, you bend your toes, lift your heel up, and then flip that. So you're bending the toes, putting your foot, you're trying to push your foot forward, bending your toes. And you could even move back and forth between one direction and the other. Now, one thing that ladies say often is that they start to cramp when they do this. Cramping, there's 3 indications of cramping. One of them would be dehydration. Another one would be mineral deficiencies. And another one would be tightness. So if you start to cramp, address the mineral issue, address the hydration issue, and then the flexibility issue, practice. Now let's do that with the other foot. Bending the toes. So you could bend them, you could hold them for a while, then you could go to the other direction and moving through this, one and then the other. Let's get the tops of the feet. Hold on with your chair. I don't want you to hold on to your chair. I want you to push away from your chair. Chairs typically are not that sturdy, so holding on to something that's not that sturdy isn't going to help. But when you push down, you actually push it into the floor. The other thing is when you're using a chair, when you're practicing yoga, make sure at least 2 of the legs are on the mat. Take your hands on the chair, take one foot back pretty far, and wiggle your foot around so your toenails are touching the ground. Take the other foot back, toenails are touching the ground. And again, top of the foot stretching. Go back a little farther. You'll get a deeper stretch. And if you can't do this, which a lot of people can't, work towards it. Have limber feet so you don't fray and tear and fracture your bones and your muscles and your ligaments and your tendons if you slip, trip, or fall. And then bring yourself back to center. Now the ankles. You're standing forward. You're gonna roll to the pinky toe edges and then come back. Roll to pinky toe edges. Keep yourself rolled out to your edges. Feel the stretch in the ankles. And then go ahead. So let's do something to still continue with flexibility in the ankle, but we're actually going to bring in balance. So you could take wherever your chair is, you could have that foot near the chair. You're standing on that foot. Take the opposite foot forward and bring the foot off the floor. So the higher you bring the foot, the more work you're putting into that standing leg. So if you lift your leg high, you're working the muscles up here. You may need to be down here, wherever you are, it doesn't matter. And you're balancing on one leg. So we have balance on one leg, hip joint, pelvic, and femur bone strengthening. And then we have the balance challenge, and we have stronger foot movements on the standing leg is also strengthening the foot, the bones, the muscles. Point the foot and flex. Point and flex. Lift it as high as you can. Point and flex. Point and flex. And then circles in one direction. Circles in the other direction. Now bend your knee, the foot goes back, it comes forward, back and forward, back and forward. Now your knee, take your knee up, out, and around. This may be a challenge, you may need to hold on to the chair. You're moving your body around, that standing leg is working really hard to figure out where you are. Up, out, and in. One more, and then bring yourself down. And you're going to feel that work of that standing leg, maybe that standing foot as well. And then you are doing a lot of increasing flexibility in the other leg. So take your chair to the other side if you need the chair, or you have a wall. Starting from what's called mountain, Tadasana, mountain, stacked joint alignment. Bring your foot forward, lift it up as high as you can with the muscles, and then point and flex. Point and flex. And then circles in one direction, in the other. Now try to get the knee to track nicely as you bring the foot in and out. In and out. Standing leg strength, standing foot strength. The kneecap, up, out, and around. This is a hip joint movement. It's the knee that lifts up, out, and around. And then your body has to manage all this movement on that standing leg. And then the other, up, out, and around. Up, in, and around. The other direction. And then bring your foot down. Go ahead and shake, shake, shake. Take your feet a little wider than hip distance. Put your hands on your hips. Push your pelvis forward, stretching the front of the hips. Push the pelvis to the side. Push the pelvis back to the side. Forward, side, back, side. Forward, side, back, side. Forward, side, back, side. Bring yourself forward and then go the other direction. And then bring yourself back to center. So let's do a little bit of postures that we have to balance on our feet and do a little bit of challenge with them. So let's take the chair to the other side so we go back to that standing leg. So we're going to do tree, which is a traditional yoga posture, but I'd like to add a little bit to it so there is some movement in your body. So you're going to come, you can hold onto your chair if you need, starting from mountain, bending the knee out to the side, foot up in between the ankle and the knee joint. And then your hands are going to go to the side. And then let's start to take one hand up and one hand down. One hand up, one hand down. Now, if this is too much, if you're not ready yet to bring too much challenge into your tree, then don't do this. Do what feels right for you. And then hands up and hands down. Up and down. And then out to the side, and then come out. Let's go to the other side. Starting from a mountain, you're going to come into tree on the opposite foot. So you have your chair there if you need, and then we're going to bring our hands, we're going to go up and down. And then bring yourself down. You're going to go up and down in front. Just a little challenge. See how this feels for you. One more. Bring your hands out to the side, and then bring yourself all the way up and all the way down. Shake your legs. So the tree posture would be a posture that you could find often in your life. That's a pretty traditional single leg balance. When you stand on one leg, you strengthen the pelvis, the hip. There's movement when you're doing this, and you can even bring that in even more. Movement is good. We think we need to stand here, stick straight in a tree posture, but actually we want all of that movement in our hip, that dance and that play in our hip, so that if we do slip, trip, or fall, we have all of that available to us. We don't think of it that way. We don't realize that fall prevention is how much flexibility exists in those joints that you're going to be flexing when you're falling, right? There's the force on the bones, but really a lot of it is the muscles and tendons that are pulling on the bones. When you're walking, you go like that, that's because your tissues pulled on the bones that cause the fracture, right? So there's that. We could hit surfaces and we can get fractures that way too. But a lot of the stuff that happens in the joints is the action of falling, and the muscles and ligaments can only go as far as they can go. So let's help them be even more limber. So do a little bit of stretching now. We're going to do the triangle pose. This is going to stretch the inner thighs, so the adductor muscles along here, so that we can have more flexibility in this part of our body. So take your chair, take yourself from a mountain to a really wide stance. Let your foot be underneath the chair, and then come onto that heel. Keep that leg straight and swivel the foot to face underneath the chair. The back heel lifts away from you. And then the foot foundation really matters with the standing postures. We can get stronger feet by activating them in these postures and not just thinking that they're there just on the ground. Really activate them. So look at your back foot. Your pinky toe edge is active. Your toes are pressing into the floor, and you're actually pushing that pinky toe edge into the floor so that the arch is lifting up. And if you look down, you'll see movement of your muscles. You'll see your blood vessels and your ankle joint trying to figure this out. Take your shoulders forward, up, back, and down. The bend happens in the hip, not in the waist. You want to keep as much space between your lower rib and your pelvis as you can when you come into your triangle. So take your hand on your front leg, back palm up, exhale. As you inhale, bending that front hip joint, slide your hand down your thigh. You're bending your hip. Keep the low rib away from the top pelvis until you feel enough stretch behind that leg that you can't go any farther. At this point, you can put your hand on the chair, on the top of the chair, or wherever you need. Push away from the chair and bend your hip more. Pull the lower rib away from the top pelvis. Bring your awareness to your feet. Push the pinky toe edges into the floor. Push the toes into the floor and feel like you're ripping the floor apart with your feet. Triangle. Be as deep as you can be, and then you want to rotate your heart up towards the sky. You should be in between two sheets of glass, two panes of glass. Take one more breath. Keep your legs straight as you slowly, slowly bring yourself up. And then bring yourself back to the mountain. And we'll go to the other side. So really paying attention to your feet. Take your legs into a mountain position. Take a wide stance here. Pick the toes up. Toes go under the chair. So the leg stays straight. You're on your heel. You swivel. Toes under, heel away. Shoulders are forward, up, back, and they're down. Front hand goes in the leg. The bend is going to happen in the hip joint. Take your back palm up. You're going to keep the rib cage away from the pelvis as you lower down on the inhale. You're going to start to feel that stretch on the inner thigh and only be able to go a certain distance. And then you bring your hand on the chair or wherever you're bringing your hand. You can stay on your leg. Activate your feet. Make sure that the side you're bending towards, you have a lot of space between the lower rib and the pelvis, that the hip is bending, not the spine. And you're between two sheets of glass. You lengthen your spine, you rotate your trunk up towards the sky. Really active feet. Feel like you're pushing the floor away. Long spine, rotated spine. Take one more breath. And then slowly let go. Bring yourself up, bring yourself out. Come all the way to the mountain. Find the mountain. So staying with the chair on this side, let's do the twisted triangle, because twisted triangle, flexibility, balance, and strength. So you have a chair in front of you. Bring your foot to the front edge of the chair. You use that to help with balance. Back foot back. Take your hands on your waist. Really push both heels into the floor. And then bend forward, lengthen your torso to come forward. And then reach your hand diagonally across the chair, or wherever it is you're putting it. If you're on the floor with a block, push away, long spine. And then the key here is you're twisting over the front leg. Make sure you have the front leg and you're twisting in the direction of the front leg. Push the back foot into the floor, lengthen your spine, and rotate. Both legs are straight here in the twisted triangle. And you're pushing away, not leaning into. Push away. Long torso, twist, twist, twist. Really push away from the back leg to create as much force as possible. Take one more breath. To come out, you bend the front leg, keep your head lifted, bring yourself up, bring yourself out, and let's take the chair to the other side. So these postures have intentions. And this one is going to pull on the side hip, so increasing flexibility on your hip on the side. It's also stretching the posterior chain, the calf muscle and the back leg all the way up. And then you're rotating your trunk, putting some forces into the lumbar spine. Front foot touches the chair, back foot's about 2.5 feet away. Push your feet into the floor, and then you're going to bend forward at your hip joint to come forward, and then bring your back leg hand forward. This is a diagonal movement, twisted triangle. Push your feet into the floor, lengthen your spine, bending at the hip, bringing your torso forward. And then bring your awareness into that back foot. That's where the work comes from. Really pushing away to lengthen and to rotate. The front leg, you could suck that bone into the joint or think of pushing that tushy cheek back to add a little bit more force rotationally. Push away from that back foot. Really twist your spine forward, twist your torso forward. Take one more breath. And then bend the front leg, bring yourself forward, up and out. So the last standing posture we're going to do is chair. I'm going to do air chair at the wall so I can go really deep and really activate the legs. You could do the chair posture. You could get your block and put your block between your knees and come into chair from here. You could come into chair from standing. Block between your knees really helps to get the pelvis in alignment, and you could do your chair from here, or I'm going to show you this other variation. So the block, I'm going to do the block between my knees and do air chair at the wall. So the body is at the wall. You need a mat on the floor or something that's not slippery. You need to feel confident with this. And then you tilt your pelvis back to flatten the low back to the wall and slide down into this to get as deep in your knee bend and your hip bend as you can. Squeezing the block, keep your feet block distance, squeeze the block. And then you could bring your arms on the wall or in front of you. The deeper you go, the more muscular action you're involving, the harder it'll be. So do what's appropriate to you. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself up, bring yourself out. Mountain. So we are ready for the last posture, the posture of integration, to allow everything that was practiced today to find its new memory in your body of more space, of increased range of motion. So gather your things you'll need for Shavasana. So coming down onto the ground for Shavasana, if there's any final movements you feel you need in your body, do them now. And then find yourself in a fully outstretched position, mouth closed. Stay focused on your breath. Stay here in the present moment. Gently begin to deepen your breath. Start to bring movement into your fingers, your toes, your arms, your legs, bending your knees. Bring the knees one at a time into your chest. Rock side to side, and then onto your side, and from here up to seated. We're going to close the practice with sound. So sit in a nice spine erect position. Bring your hands together at your heart. We're going to close with a humming sound. Take a big exhale. Inhale. Bringing your hands up to your forehead, bowing in gratitude. Namaste. So fall prevention is something that we should work on because falling can lead to a lot of not great things. Having broken bones is not fun, especially when you have weight-bearing bones. And even if it's not weight-bearing, breaking your arm, anything that's going to cause pain and suffering and reduce your quality of life. So fall prevention is something we should always focus on. The footwork we did today, really critical. Having limber, strong, mobile feet, really important to help you stay nice and erect and not fall. Okay, so I think some people may have arrived at the end. So who else is here? Carolyn, good morning. Donna, hello. Did the Wi-Fi freeze for a lot of you? Side plank. I know, Donna. I cannot stand side plank, but I know side plank is really good for spinal health, and it's used when in scoliosis work. So I know that it's a super beneficial posture. So challenging though. All right. So I mentioned, I'm not sure if you heard at the beginning, but I am going to start showing up more in community. That's what I want to do. I'm creating a membership program, Stronger Bones Lifestyle membership, where I'll have one masterclass a month. And I'm really going to start to focus a lot on food and cooking food that's for healthy gut, for healthy bones, but you have to take care of your gut to have healthy bones. So I'm going to have a membership that I'm sending out with information next week if you're on my newsletter. If you're not, go to my website and sign up for my newsletter. If you sign up for any of my free downloadable gifts, you'll be on that list. Stronger Bones Lifestyle Community. And then also Healthy Gut, Healthy Bones. If you want to learn more about gut health and how that plays a role in bone health, I have a 4-month program that I show up in every other week to answer questions in. So in order to stop bone loss, we need to uncover our root causes. And that you need to look at the gut and digestion and absorption, and do you have leaky gut, and what's your bacterial balance, and all of the factors that matter when it comes to gut health. So go onto my website. All of that is there. Claudia, hello. Yes, she's way. Are you sore? I'm sore. I taught Tuesday, I taught Wednesday, 2 classes. My stomach yesterday, because we did a certain kind of core work that we haven't done before. So I definitely felt my core. And my legs. So I definitely have been doing a lot these last few days, which is great because being strong is the goal. All right. So yeah, okay. I am too. All right. So join my website for more information. Thanks for joining me. I'll be here next Thursday. There's not any more times that I won't be here in the next month. So I will definitely be here for this live class. Look forward to seeing you. Bye.